Well, welcome, Carolina, and thank you for taking the time to talk to me today.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, Jamie.
Yeah, and I first met you, I was over a year ago now. I just joined Gator, and we were at a meetup at one of the title companies here locally, and people in the group there had some of the sub two hats on. I was a little bit curious about that, and you know, put it in the back of my mind. And then so many months later, I reached out to you. I think you gave me the referral code. I joined
Awesome.
Sub 2, and you were the leader at the time for the region. So, yeah, I wanted to interview you because you've helped so many people, especially here locally, but also online as well. And everybody I talk to knows who you are.
That's
So
awesome. I love hearing that.
I'm like, I'm interviewing Carolina Allen. Oh, I know Carolina. I know who
Oh,
she
very
is.
cool.
Yeah. So,
Very, very cool.
yeah, you have a you're really well regarded in the community. So,
Oh, that
thank
makes
you.
me happy.
Yeah, so if you could tell me a little, I know you've kind of told me in the past, but your journey to get to where you are and how you're now the executive coach for Sub 2, and yeah, just how you started and
Yeah.
your path along the way with the mentorship programs that
Oh
you've
my
been in, and
gosh. Yeah. How far back are we going?
as far as you want. I've got like an hour, and
An
then
hour. Okay.
yeah.
Okay, good. That's good to know. Yeah. So I guess with the real estate, journey, it started in 2019. We had joined a very expensive mentorship. I don't even bring them up because it just, it showed me this world that I didn't know anything about. For me, I honestly just thought that the only way to do real estate was to be an agent. So awesome. You just, buy and sell on market and that's it. So I had no idea about the investor side of anything. At the time I was a stay-at-home mom. And so I have 3 kids and they're young adults now. I mean, I have a 21-year-old, which is just crazy. He's graduating at OSU this year, and 18, almost 19-year-old daughter that is at Western Oregon
two
University
two
this year.
kids in two
Two
kids in
kids in
college.
college.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you to real estate. My gosh. And then our youngest, he's a junior in high school. So we're definitely transitioning to almost empty nesters now, which is
Yeah.
just weird,
Yeah.
but awesome. It's really exciting. I just love seeing them become young adults. But but going back to that, I was a stay-at-home mom, and my husband actually dragged me to this 3-day event for this first mentorship that we joined. And I was like, why are we here? But then they're really good at sales. And I was like, oh my gosh, we are not ready for what's coming, retirement, our kids going to college. Our parents love them. And I know that time is coming. I don't think they're fully prepared for retirement either. So
Yeah.
it's all these people that are going to need stuff from us at some point. So real estate was just a really cool avenue to start, generating more future income, and it's a long play. So we started with the idea of wanting to be fix and flippers. To date, we have yet to do a fix and flip, which is really funny. But then COVID kind of happened and we had met another mentor. At that time, we had gotten that stimulus check. And
Okay.
so we're
Yeah.
like, do we pay off, this one massive debt, which was, I want to say it was like 40,000 at the time. I mean, it was a very expensive mentorship.
Oh wow, that
Or
is
do we
expensive.
jump in? Right. It was
Yeah.
so expensive. Or do we jump in and just have faith and learn how to do virtual wholesaling?
Yeah.
And so we learned the virtual. We didn't have to do it in our backyard, and we recouped all our investments and then some. And it just showed us the wholesale side.
Yeah.
And then starting to do wholesaling, we just realized, oh my gosh, some of these we should start keeping ourselves. Like they're good deals and they make sense. So we just kind of hand select and keep the ones we want to.
Right. When you started wholesaling, was this before you joined Sub 2?
Yeah, I had done a couple deals, and thanks to mentorship number 1, we had some really good friends that were in that community and then also in Sub 2. And they're like, Carolina, you have to come here.
Yeah.
And so for me, I'm very goal oriented. So I said, okay, my next wholesale, when I close my next deal, I'm using those funds to join Sub 2. And so that just gave me some more motivation. My only regret is not joining sooner.
Right. Well, you joined back in, what was it, 21 or
21, March of 21. And there was only, there was probably like 2,000 members. It was not nearly as big as it is right now. Yeah.
It's like 15,000 now or so.
Yeah.
Probably. Yeah. Wow. That's you got in at the ground level then, pretty much.
Yeah. Yeah. It was pretty amazing.
I saw it evolve along the way as well.
Big time. Big time. Yeah.
Cool. And when did you become a regional leader?
There really wasn't regional leaders at the time. I just, again, taking action, right? I just saw that there was a need. I loved getting together and talking to our local people on our, weekly Zooms that we have on Thursdays, that I'm like, we're so darn close. Why don't we get together in person? So I just took it upon myself to start doing meetups.
Yeah.
And then over time, about 2 years worth of meetups, monthly meetups that just kind of grew. Yeah, they just kind of appointed me the leader because I was doing the things.
You're doing it anyway. So
It wasn't
yeah.
like, hey, I want to be the leader.
Yeah.
So it just kind of happened. And yeah, I was really happy and fortunate that I was able to. It helped me come out of my shell a little bit. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, well, I'm
cool
glad
experience.
you did it because I probably wouldn't have discovered Sub 2 as early as I did.
Right.
But by going in person and seeing like real people actually join, and it's not just another scammy
Oh,
guru thing online,
100%.
and people that actually have had success. So
Yeah.
it's good to see in person, with
Yeah.
proof of
And I
concept.
think,
So
Zoom is great, online, virtual, but we're humans. We need that face-to-face interaction. There's just something to be said about that. You can't get that online.
exactly, yeah, for sure. Um, so I have a few specific questions I wanted to ask you.
Sure.
Is there any deal that sticks out in your mind as like this was one of my best ones? The one I
Oh my
always like to talk about when people ask me what I do at meetups.
Yeah. Oh, so like a deal that we got at a meetup, is that what you're
No,
saying?
no,
Or a
just
deal
like
that
if
we did?
someone asks you, Carolina, what do you do? And you tell them, and if they say, have you ever done any really creative deals or any deal that sticks out in your mind, more so than the other
Yeah.
ones?
I mean, they're all challenging. I will say that. I have yet to do a deal that's like, oh my gosh, that was so easy.
Yeah.
They're all very challenging. And it is working with people that are in tough situations, right? So just having a lot of grace and patience and understanding. I honestly think being a mom of 3 kids has kind of helped me in that because
Yeah.
my gosh, if I was doing this before being a parent, like the amount of patience that you need, it's
Yeah.
incredible.
Yeah.
So I thank my kids for that. But let's see, I guess my most favorite deal, I have two of them. So my very first rental that we got, that was probably like, I think it was just the proof of concept and the fact that it is virtual, our Montana property.
Okay.
We've had that for almost 3 years, I believe, if I got the math right. So we got that one. It was a virtual deal. We have yet to walk that property, but
Yeah.
we've had it ever since, long-term rental. And it was a homeowner that he rented out to family. COVID happened. So I guess it might have been a little longer. It was around COVID. I'm trying
Okay.
to remember the timeline here now. It was either 21, 22. I want to say it was maybe 21. So it was shortly after we joined Sub 2.
Yeah.
I called it dumpster diving. I was going over my dead leads. It didn't work for cash.
Yeah.
But looking at the numbers even further, we ended up actually just doing it a conventional.
Oh, really?
So
Yeah.
his arrears were basically the same that we would need to if we had to do a conventional.
Yeah.
Conventional deal, and the interest rates were so great at the time. We got it for
Right.
like 2.875%
Oh, yeah.
fixed
This is like
interest.
beginning
So
of COVID,
it just
right?
made sense. Yeah,
Yeah.
it just made
Yeah.
sense. So, yeah, that one's been great. It's hands off. Our property manager takes care of everything, and we get our check every month. It's been good.
Yeah. It's
So
like
yeah,
set it and forget it for that
yeah,
one. Yeah.
exactly.
Awesome. Yeah. And I know you also help people because you do a lot of, calling, and also I think you've done some door knocking.
Yep.
Any particular case that stands out to you in terms of helping somebody like facing foreclosure?
Yeah. Let's see. We actually just closed one earlier, just a couple weeks ago on the 8th.
Okay.
And he was in a situation out in Vancouver where he actually listed on market and he wasn't able to sell the property with a retail agent. The home was a 2018 build, and poor guy was facing a divorce. They started falling behind on their mortgage payments, so they were heading into foreclosure. Trying to list on market, like that's everyone's go-to, and it's a beautiful home. It wasn't at all distressed by any means, but he kind of was needing a Hail Mary. Like he didn't know that creative was even something that you could do. And so, we were able to help him that way to save his credit, because he was at the point that he was just giving up and ready to just let the mortgage company just take it. We structured it where we came in, paid his, $20K in arrears, gave him $3,000 at closing, and covered all the closing costs. So it was a win-win-win all around. And he was just really grateful that his credit's not going to take a hit now.
Right.
So,
Right. Yeah. So did you end up keeping that one, or are you going to wholesale it? Or?
We did wholesale it, but we did it as a mirror wrap. So that just gives us first rights of refusal. I trust my buyer. My buyers, bought another deal for me before in the past, and they've solid people. They have their team, they have their systems all set up. I'm sure they're going to perform.
Yeah.
But If for whatever reason they don't perform, then we get notified and we can foreclose and take the
Okay.
property back, step in and fix it. I just don't want it to ever come back to the seller and become an
Right.
issue for them. So yeah.
So I guess this could be a technical question because a lot of people probably don't know what a mirror wrap is.
Yeah.
Uh, do you have like a quick explanation of that?
Yeah, so I think of a mirror, right? Like it's going to be exact same terms. Like we didn't pad any numbers. We just basically got an assignment fee for it,
Yeah.
and then we're note holders. So there's no extra exactly what we structured with the seller. So there's no bump in the interest. There's no
Right.
bump in the payment because our buyer is going to turn around and do their own. So you can wrap a wrap,
Right.
which is really funny, but they're going to turn around and put a homestead buyer, so someone that plans on living and buying the home themselves in there. So,
Okay, and then will that close out all the notes then?
yes, I'm actually learning on this one myself
Yeah.
because it's my first wrap I've ever done. So it was pretty cool.
Yeah, this is cool. So you get your assignment fee, but all the terms, everything are exactly the same
Exactly. Yeah.
as the existing mortgage.
Yeah. It just allows us that if something goes weird, we can step in and rectify the situation or
and the
take over
seller
the
doesn't have
payments.
to worry about it.
Exactly.
So it's almost safer. I would say safer for the seller than your regular sub two type of deal.
I think so. In the past, when we first started doing sub two, we did what was called naked sub twos. Basically, there's no wrap in there. But now we're wrapping things just to add that extra layer of protection.
Yeah, I think a lot of people have started doing that.
Yeah,
I've
it just makes
mentioned
more
a lot
sense.
more.
Yeah, for sure.
Cool. That way, the real estate community that are doing sub two transactions don't get a bad rap for, they're actually doing going the extra mile to look after the seller. So.
Exactly. I mean, there's still going to be people out there, unfortunately, but I think that's in every industry. You just got to do the best that you can, and you can only look after yourself, right, and perform.
Right. Yeah, and that's one thing that kind of stuck out to me when I first met you, and we were doing the phone calls, and going through the list at the title company, and your approach is really from a place of wanting to help the person first. Yep. Like the property is secondary. You're trying to figure out how to help them first. Yeah.
Oh, yep. So, that's the plan. Yep. I mean, always it's people that are, needing a solution, and they've tried everything. I feel that's the only way a creative deal really becomes a win-win-win, right?
Again, as the new wholesaling law, which just came into effect this month, right?
Yeah. Well, I guess it will be in full force. Either I can't remember if it's June or July. I should have looked, but that's when it's in full force. Yeah.
Right. So I know you've done a lot of wholesaling and a lot of wholesaling in Oregon. What is your strategy like working with this new law in place?
Oh my goodness. I think it's so new for everybody that we're all kind of like, what are we supposed to do? I have a really good friend, Anne, at Fidelity Title that I talk to, and I've even what's the process? And they're still kind of like, we don't even know. So even the title companies are still kind of trying to figure out what it is we're all supposed to do. So I've been toying honestly with, which is funny, I never thought I'd get my realtor license, but it's either get my wholesale license or get my realtor license. And I have had scenarios where I've referred, retail listings as a marketing to a retail agent, but if I can list it myself and make more of a spread that way, I kind of feel that might be the route that I'll be taking. So yeah, I'm really toying with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's sounds like there's going to be a wholesale license or a realtor license.
Exactly.
But if you have the realtor license, you can wholesale.
Yeah.
Well,
so it'll be interesting.
Yeah, for sure.
I know that one of the things, Stephen actually sat and read the bill, and one of the things on the bill was that the seller has 3 days to cancel the agreement with a wholesaler without any ramifications, which is really going to make it tough, right? I mean, any person in the right mind is probably going to shop it around, and you can't put a memorandum on there. So it's interesting. I don't really know how that's going to affect everybody, but
it's going to change the landscape.
Yes.
I think like if you could, like you said, Stephen read the bill. If you know the law and you can figure it out, you would have an advantage over people that don't bother to read the law. Don't figure it out.
Exactly.
And probably do it the right way.
Yeah. We'll see what happens.
Yeah. And when I first met you, it was Deal Squad that you had on Facebook.
Uh-huh.
Now it's Squad Up with Carolina.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah. And so, what kind of things do you do on your Facebook page?
Yeah, it's a lot of just one-on-ones, really. Like a lot of people will kind of reach out to me in the background and just need some hand holding. And it just goes back to, the helper in me.
Right,
I
right,
always love helping people. So I remember when I first started this journey, how incredibly terrifying the idea of getting a deal done and, helping this homeowner and getting it to the finish line, lots of prayers. And so I just put myself in that position. And so just offer a lot, the go-giver mentality that Pace always talks about in our community. That comes natural to me. So I love helping. And so yeah, just a lot of one-on-ones, and I try to make myself available to people in our local community that need help.
right. So, as a part of executive coaching for Sub Two, what would somebody who signed up for that? What do they get?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it's the same thing I've been doing. I just get paid for it now.
Right.
But
Okay. Yeah.
no, it's been great. I didn't realize I would enjoy the coaching as much as I did. I was very grateful. I mean, Pace hand selected me with like four other
Oh,
students in the
yeah.
community. So
Yeah.
there's just maybe five of us that are
Really?
coaching
Just
students.
five?
Yeah, it's pretty
Yeah.
amazing, and been able to do it for about 2 years now. And yeah, it's a lot of, I will say it's a lot of mindset. It's a lot of structuring deals and just underwriting, showing them how to comp. What else do we do? I've even gotten on the phone with the agents, with them and do a three-way and come in
Oh,
as like
yeah.
their partner
Yeah.
and just kind of guide them through the process. So it's been, yeah, it's been fun. It's been fun just, helping as best I can. I do not claim to know everything. I think we're forever students in this arena, but it's
Yeah.
been, yeah, it's pretty cool.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's only five. Wow. That sounds like a pretty great service for sure.
Yeah. It's been
Um,
awesome.
yeah. Cool. Cool. So, for anybody starting out, um, what common mistakes have you seen people make, and like what's some advice you would tell people
Oh,
to not
wow.
do?
Yeah, I'll say, everyone talks about mindset, and I didn't quite understand that at the beginning when I started. But the more I do it, I think, working on your mindset, this is a tough industry. I think it's simple, but it's not easy, right? You'll
Right.
hear that over and over again. It really is like for me, I'm a recovering people pleaser. And I think just wanting to make everybody happy, you just can't always please everybody, right?
Right.
So having a thick skin and being okay with the massive amount of rejection that you're going to get all day
Right.
long,
Right.
that is a skill.
For sure.
And then I think also, what was the other thing I was going to say? I had a couple points and it just slipped my mind. You might have to cut this out here, Jamie.
That's fine.
Okay, mindset. Oh, that was the other thing. Okay, and so the other thing that I always see people, they're just so hungry to get a deal done.
Right.
And you have to remember, as investors, the numbers tell you what to do. Do not, no emotion. There's no emotion whatsoever,
Yeah.
right? You obviously want to be able to help the homeowner, but don't get to the point that you buy a deal out of desperation, out of, proving something to somebody else. I've had a few people come to me after they buy a deal with, I won't name trusted individuals that
Right.
are spotlighted. And so, they trusted, and I'm like, I really wish you had come to me before. Like, you can't rent in this area. The HOA doesn't allow it. Like,
Right.
it doesn't cash flow. Like, I don't know what and it's in the middle of nowhere. Right.
Yeah.
So really take time. I think that's the thing is people jump and want to do all the things and they want the end result, but they don't take the time to build that foundation of education. And really, I mean, it's your money, it's your future, it's your family you're putting on the line, right? We all
Yeah.
start down here. We're not big players just yet, right? Give
Yeah.
us
Yeah.
a decade and then we'll be there. But I think it really is take the time to fully educate yourself, know the numbers, know where you're getting into, and just only buy good deals. Like there's no
Yeah.
reason that you need to force a deal. I think
Right.
that's a huge mistake a lot of new people do, and then they get stuck, and it's heartbreaking to see because at that point I can't help you. So
Yeah.
yeah.
You're kind of stuck then.
Yeah.
So it
Yeah.
sounds like fun, and taking the time to find like who the trusted advisors are in the
Mhm.
community.
Yeah.
And that's not necessarily the people that have been there the longest, even
True.
sometimes, right?
True. Yeah.
Yeah, because
Yeah. Yeah.
there's been lots of good deals, lots of bad deals, right? So
Oh, for sure. For sure.
yeah, and that's good advice. So with you mentioned raising three kids, they just recently went to college, and you started this, I think, when they were all in high school. Was that right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So how did you balance like your personal life then and now, I guess, even with the demands of real estate and raising
Yeah.
family and everything else?
Oh my gosh. It's, I'm not perfect. Nobody is. But I think that was one of the things about real estate that I liked, the idea of being my own boss and setting my own hours and time and that flexibility, like not having to ask somebody for time off so I can go do whatever activity with my children. Like my family has always been a top priority and always will be. So that was one of the things that really just attracted me to the real estate world. But yeah, I think it is key to carve out time and just make sure that you make time for what's important. You could easily be sucked into real estate 24/7, and I
Yeah.
feel like for a minute I was kind of there. And so I'm a very big believer, and I think God just is like, okay, you need to slow down a little bit and just enjoy the journey, and it all pans out the way it's meant to. So yeah.
That's good. Good.
Yeah.
So what's your goals now for like the next 5 years, like with your business and everything?
Wow, 5 years. Steven is our visionary in our little duo here.
Yeah.
I'm more the workhorse integrator, but big picture is, and this is like down the road, I don't know, God willing, I would love to have two charities, one to help, children in this country. None of them should be starving. Don't
Right.
care if you're a legal resident or not, but yeah, would love to help with something like that. I have that in my heart that I want to do something to help the children. And then the other one is another foundation that I would love to set up that is to help people with mental illness in this country. It's not talked about,
Right.
or if it is, there isn't services to really help
No.
families. So those are the two big things that I really would love to do in the future. And then, yeah, I mean, right now I'm working. Our main objective right now is retirement money. Like it's not right
Yeah.
now money, it's future. I just want to be set for when retirement comes and not have to worry about paying bills or medicine or
Yeah,
whatever.
for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think a lot of people see their parents or their friends' parents, and they're still working later in
it's so
life,
sad. Yeah,
and you're like, yeah, you don't want to
yeah.
be working that hard when you're so
Oh,
close to
exactly.
retirement. Yeah,
Exactly. Work
for
if you
sure.
want to. I mean,
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
totally fine. But when it's a have to person, like I'm sure
yeah,
my heart always breaks when I see someone like at Walmart, like an older person, and
yeah,
they're just miserable and not wanting to be there. Like,
yeah,
oh,
and
yeah,
that could be a tough job there
yeah.
for sure. And you have your husband as your partner. So how important do you think for new people to find someone to form a partnership with, like
Oh
in
my
terms of
gosh.
your success rate?
Yeah, huge, huge. I mean, honestly, like Steven doesn't really he works his 9 to 5. So I'm
Yeah,
very blessed, for the moments that we need those bills paid, like he is there
yeah,
because
yeah,
real estate is not as consistent as, we would like to say. I'm a little too transparent sometimes, but
yeah,
that's the reality is like when you're starting out, there's going to be good months and there's going to be months that are just a little like rocky. So
right,
I always tell people like keep your job as long as humanly possible. Um, and then also when you're talking to sellers or agents, you don't sound desperate for the deal, right?
right,
Because if
right.
it happens, it happens. And if it doesn't, okay, cool. I still can pay my bills. But as far as my husband, I mean, he's my best friend. I trust him more than anyone in this world. And he's just been my rock. Like I couldn't do this without him. There are days where this industry will just kick you in the face, and yeah, he's amazing. His hugs just make everything just melt away.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, for sure. I think it's pretty much the questions I wanted to ask you. There might be one other one here. Selling, I wanted to ask you about that. So awesome. Well, where can people find you, like online and everywhere?
yeah. So I'm always on Instagram or Facebook. So Carolina Allen, and I spell my name Caroleena Allen Allen on Instagram. So yeah, reach me
Find
there.
you there. And if someone was joining Sub 2 and they wanted to take advantage of executive coaching, this is just something that they would tell the person they're working with who signs them up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The recruiter, it's two tiers basically. There's the
Yeah.
main tier and then the executive. Yeah, and they get one-on-one coaching with there's some really awesome coaches out there. So yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you for your time today. I really appreciate
Absolutely.
it, and
Yeah.
getting to learn a little bit more about you and what your goals are and everything. So appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you, Jamie.